Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the Block Sauce, the web show that showcases a variety of games from the Web3 space. I'm your host and NFT ambassador, Jinkirin. Today, we've got a super special guest lined up for you, so grab your controllers, crack open a Mountain Dew, and prepare to get your game on.
We thought we had peace. We had been through so much. And the carnage from the past was unimaginable.
I've been fighting for what feels like forever. Trying to save what's left of my future. I've been fighting to save my whole existence. Sometimes it feels like a never-ending mission. We gotta save the population from total annihilation. And that's how I know that we're all gonna make it. We're all gonna make it. Yeah, yeah.
I've been zooming into spaceship. I've gone to outer space. Ain't nothing gonna stop me from battling the graves. Switching up the story, they digging their own grave. I'm in the battle, I'm knee deep, protecting all of this need feed. We'll hide behind the DEFCON, powered by the X-Crime. Knock them down, tell them try again. I'm souped up, a Leviathan. I fought my demons, now I done had a revelation. It's on me and myself to fight off this whole invasion. All they wanna do is wipe out an entire population. Fine, let me at them, I'll send them all back to isolation. They thought we was weak, but they got the wrong information. Got the whole squad screaming, we're all gonna make it.
I've been fighting for what feels like forever. Trying to save what's left of my future. I've been fighting to save my whole existence. And that's how I know that we're all gonna make it. Yeah, we're all gonna make it. Yeah, yeah, we're all gonna make it. We're all gonna make it. Yeah.
We thought we had won. But as the dust started to settle, we soon realized we were wrong.
Hey there, sauce enthusiasts. It's time to bring the heat with another electrifying episode of the Block Sauce. I'm thrilled to introduce our special guest today. We got Stott Herman from WAGMI Games. How are you doing today, Scott?
Yo, Jinky, I'm doing great, man. Thanks for having me.
Glad to have you here. I know this is our second time, so for those that aren't familiar, I actually have brought Scott in before, but I screwed up the entire recording. So here we are for round two to go over their mobile game, WAGMI Defense. So
There was no saving the first recording, guys.
No.
Jinkirin just had no audio the whole time.
I butchered the entire thing, but we did a lot of testing before this episode, so hopefully everything works out better. So go ahead and tell us a bit about WAGMI Games, where you guys came from, what brought you to Web3. Tell us the story essentially.
Yeah, I mean, it's a long story, but I'll keep it super short. I came into the Web3 space in 2021. I'm one of the OGs on YouTube teaching fitness for the last 13 years. I have almost 3 million subscribers on my channel. I was one of the first people to actually do YouTube full time and essentially created the niche for fitness. All my videos are embedded in websites all over the world. And the more I dive into Web3 and the more people I meet, the more I'm starting to realize that those videos did do what they were intended to do, which was teach fitness to the world. I'll be on calls in, Singapore, Australia, Hong Kong, all these different parts. And people will be like, oh, I learned how to work out watching your videos. So it's great because we live in a world in Web3 where there's not a lot of credibility behind where people are coming from, what their intentions are, especially as developers, especially with gaming, right? Everyone's trying to build in gaming right now. We saw a lot of games, unfortunately, good and bad, right, fail over the course of the last couple of years in the bear. Some projects with millions of dollars in funding, completely just failed, couldn't do it. And that happens. That's business. And for WAGMI, we created this business about a little over 2 years ago now. I joined as a co-founder when WAGMI was about 3 months old. I had a meeting with the original core 4 founders. It was Chris, Lewis, Ian, and Chris, Lewis, Ian, and Khaled. There we go. And me and my business partner, Costas, when we first had our first conversation with the team, we just understood that these guys had not only a great idea for lore and a story and characters, a great idea for a mobile game, but also they understood how to build and scale businesses. They have a lot of experience in traditional business. Our CEO, Ian, came from a company where he had an exit of about $20 million called Autotropolis, one of the world's largest. I'm losing my train of thought here. It's been a while since they've given this speech. One of the world's privately owned lead generation companies for the automotive industry. There we go. There's just so much happening that all the new information comes in and some of the old information leaks out the other side. But anyways, the point of that story is, these guys come from traditional business, traditional marketing. Even Lewis, our CGO, manages like a $50 million fund for the school district in Texas. So these guys understand all of that. The only thing they really didn't have was somebody who understood social media and networking like I do. And that's where I fit into the piece of that puzzle. One of the first things we did was we minted out our Genesis NFT collection. That was kind of like my test to make sure I, could actually, do what I said I could do for the brand. We minted that out in about a week, and I've been here ever since. And over the last couple of years, we've had a lot of major accomplishments. One of the most recent ones being that we are the first mobile game to incorporate Immutable's L2 blockchain, right? So one of the biggest things with gaming everyone's afraid of when it comes to NFTs is gas fees. Well, Immutable L2, using the passport, there is no gas fees. So whether you're sending one card, or sending an entire box of cards, there's no gas. If you're selling a card, there's no gas, right? And that's what needs to happen, especially if you want to have these marketplaces live inside of these mobile apps on the App Store. So that's one of our most recent biggest accomplishments, as well as moving into soft launch on December 20th. So we were in beta, Jinky, as you know, and you've played the early, betas, even a year and a half ago. You've seen this thing grow for a very long time. But towards the end of November, we went into beta, and we were in beta for quite some time, just kind of testing the game out, onboarding players. And we only had a handful of players in the original beta for the app stores, only on Android currently, should be an iPhone soon. And we saw a lot of success, and we were able to do a lot of rebalancing of the characters and make a lot of changes. And then we rolled into soft launch on December 20th, and we've seen a massive uptick in players. So I'm not sure if you're going to overlay some game footage while we're chatting here, but the gameplay is a tower defense strategy game. Easy to learn, hard to master. Think Clash Royale, except aliens versus humans. All the characters are NFTs, and a lot of other bells and whistles that we can talk about later to make the game a little bit more interesting and fun. But when it comes to having a competitive game, being on mobile was where you want to be, Jinky, because 53% of all the money made in gaming is made on mobile. Also, if you want to be able to go into other markets, in the world, not everybody has a PC that can run a big game, but everybody has a phone. So there's a lot of things you have to take into consideration when building a mobile game. And, depending depending on how large that file size is for that game. Because you see that a lot too, Jinky, and I'm talking a lot, so I'll give you some time to jump in here. But everyone's trying to make the coolest game with the best graphics, and you should, but you also have to consider, like, okay, can I take this game to a country like India, right? Can I take this game somewhere where maybe they don't have the latest phones for iPhone and Android, or everybody doesn't have those phones, just they're running off old technology. And so that's something that we focus on. But yeah, the last 2 years have been extremely bullish for us. We're the first, one of the first reality TV show ever for crypto called The Next Crypto Gem, which we absolutely kicked ass on. Everybody has seen the photos at this point. We went on stage with a human emperor costume that I was wearing, right? Took it to New York City, walked around NFT NYC. We did a huge partnership with GadgetBot to recreate our main 6 aliens and 6 humans. GadgetBot is a AAA art studio. They do like Jurassic World, Transformers, Alita Battle Angel, Ender's Game, Pacific Rim, Apex Legends, Call of Duty Black Ops, Borderlands 2. So those guys redesigned our 6 main heroes for aliens and humans. And then you saw those characters come to life for the first time when we partnered with OpenSea to launch the Founders Packs, which are fully minted out now, which is great news too. A year before that, last December, not this current one, the year before, we partnered with GameStop to release our first comic called Nephi Wars. And the floor price of that has been increasing a lot lately because we're just about to release the comic edition variants of the characters, which is going to be really cool. And we're currently working with a team called Adult Fantasy to flesh out the rest of our universe, because we're creating an anime and we're going to start the anime around one of our characters, General Melcrose, kind of telling her origin story. We haven't released a lot of information on the studio we're working with yet for the anime, but it is a studio that has quite a few already on Netflix, and I know you guys have seen, so we're really excited about that. But we're doing this thing where we're going to launch this animatic for the anime, telling the story of our game and our characters. At the same time, we're working with Adult Fantasy, and these guys have 25 years experience working at Marvel, working at Cartoon Network. In fact, my friend Todd, who is actually met him at NFT NYC, he worked side by side with Stanley at Marvel. He has his photo. Yeah, it's like, everyone says, "Oh yeah, these guys worked at Marvel." No, this guy actually did. He actually worked side by side with Stanley at Marvel. In fact, he created Meatwad from Aqua Teen Hunger Force. That's his character that he created. He told me that the other day. I was like, "No way, dude!" But these guys have a lot of experience in storytelling. I mean, if you work at Cartoon Network and you work at Marvel and you're an artist and you create stories, like, you really understand how to tell it, right? I think one of the best examples I can give is if you guys think way back to like phase 1 of Marvel, the movies, there was just a really nice progression of like main storyline, origin, main storyline, origin, collaborations. And that's what we're going to be doing with our characters as we move the needle forward. And what's great with having all this amazing lore and all these amazing characters is that we can then use that in our game as live op events. So as the story progresses in real life, it'll also progress in the game. And as new characters come out, you'll see those in game, and they'll still be free because we're free to play.
Which is always nice. I'm just waiting for the iOS release.
Yeah, we're almost there. I'm
waiting, Scott.
We have an entirely new user interface. Back in March, we actually, we brought a lot of new people, new talent to the team. We got Brent Pease. He was the general manager at EA. He managed a team of like 160 people. He came on board, and then he opened up his Rolodex. That's how we got GadgetBot. It's how we got Roommate Studios and a bunch of other companies that we're working with. And then we also brought on Esteban Gil, who did the in-game economy for Apex Legends, mobile, Garana Free Fire, worked on Battlefield, and a few other guys from EA as well that do telemetry. And then we hired the principal experience designer from EA as well to help us take the app and redesign all the screens and the functionality. So what you're seeing right now in this version of the beta is going to change drastically, both visually and then just navigation wise, probably in February. Like, we're probably about a month out from the next rendition of the user interface. And then that one is going to be the one that we're going to start pushing to iPhone and to more countries.
Okay. Yeah, because that's really the thing that's kind of slowed me from playing is I'm an iPhone user, so like for me, I have to go to my computer, boot it up, load up
Me too.
BlueStacks, load the game, and at that point, and it's nothing specific to WAGMI. This is a problem that I run into with anything that's Android only. Is if I'm gonna be on my PC to play a mobile game, I might as well play a PC game.
Yeah, I
So
feel I feel the same way, and I'm a dev over here, so I totally understand what you're saying, right? Like I pull up WAGMI, and then I'm like, but my boys are on COD,
yeah,
and then when I go
exactly.
to bed, I'm like, oh, I don't have WAGMI on my phone, right? But I stream 3 times a week. So I'm playing WAGMI all the time with
Yeah.
like you when you join. Slayer's been streaming every Friday. Richie streams every Tuesday. We got a couple other guys that are gonna start streaming regularly too. We have our own category on Kick, which is doing great because every time we stream, we're seeing the number steadily increase of how many people are participating on the Kick streams.
Oh.
Yeah, which is great because, in the last stream, we actually had somebody change their username to Scott's Stinky Nuts just to troll me a little bit while we were playing. And I want to see more of that. I want to see people trolling while we're gaming. Like I want to see people changing their username, hoping
Oh
that they
man.
battle me, so it shows up there, right? Like that's
Uh-huh.
just awesome.
Well, let's kind of move more into the game specific stuff. So what actually inspired the creation of this game? Because this wasn't originally, from my understanding, WAGMI was not originally building a game. It was a token, but something happened there, and you guys like came in and took over the project or something like that. Is that accurate?
Yeah, so what happened in the very beginning was that the original Core 4 guys, they actually met in a Telegram group on a previous token that was called just WAGMI.
Mm-hmm.
And that token ended up being a slow rug. And so
Of
what
course.
they did was they started a new token and went back to the Telegram community, had a VC call. There was like one dev left over. He didn't have the keys, any of the wallets or anything like that. And they did a call and basically said, hey, this token is a slow rug. We're going to start another one. We have a great idea for a game. Lewis, our CGO, already has like an amazing story he's been working on for a few years. The game type we're going to go with is mobile. We're going to do tower
Mm-hmm.
defense. And if you would like to liquidate what you have in this rug and come over to the new WAGMI token, do that now. And then basically I think among all of them, they had like maybe almost $400,000 invested between the four of them in the original token. And so it was really cool. They actually told everybody else to liquidate first, and then they just kind of took whatever was left after. And so all those people came. We have holders here that have been here, since the beginning, since before the creation of our token now, because they were part of the original one,
Mm-hmm.
which was a rug. And to be very clear, we have no association with any of those devs from that project. It was just literally the community where I and Lewis, Chris, and Cal had met. And then they were like, okay, we're going to start our own because they really like the name. Some people want to say, oh, that name is kind of cheesy. The acronym is cheesy. And we've kind of gotten some feedback from people in the very beginning, like, you guys sure you want that to be your name? Like, it's kind of cheesy. It's crypto, whatever. And we're like, yeah,
Yeah.
dude. And what's funny is now all of a sudden everyone is like, oh wow, we all really might make it. Like WAGMI's kicking ass. So, you just gotta fight through all the all the bullshit and just people are always gonna talk smack and people are always gonna doubt you until they don't. Like that's just how life is. An
That
idea is stupid until it isn't. That's just the way life is.
That's actually a good segue into the next little piece that I have here. So obviously, people have been critical of the gameplay. They've said it's very basic and that nobody would play it. However, since WAGMI has released their public beta and allowed Android users to experience it, we've also had Warcraft Rumble release their game. Now, I've tried Warcraft Rumble, and my first thought after a few hours of playing it is this is WAGMI. Like, it's still a tower defense, the same exact way you guys play it. It's a back and forth, like power struggle. You got to place the right units. Some units counter other units, et cetera, et cetera. They just have a little bit more that was added in. So that still tells me though that there is an audience for this gameplay. You might think it's boring, but somebody else is going to enjoy the hell out of it. And I'll tell you right now, my experience whenever I play with you guys, I do enjoy playing with other people. Now, picking up my mobile and just doing random matchmaking and I'm not talking, I'm just being a sweaty tryhard, that's not quite the same experience and it's not quite as fun. But if you get a group of people together and you're all just going at it and having a blast in Discord, like this is a fantastic game to pick up and run with. But whenever I compare the two, it makes me wonder what more is in store for WAGMI, because whenever I played Warcraft Rumble, they had extra stuff in there. So like you could run dungeons, which was a more PvE oriented activity. They had raids where you can like do this big hard PvE type challenge with other people. Their lanes also have like little arrows and stuff that you can tap, so you can actually direct your units to other lanes. Even though you may have placed them on the left, you can make them go right at some point, right? Are you guys looking at adding more stuff like that to spice up the gameplay down the road, or right now are you just focused on kind of polishing what's there, and then maybe once you get some more feedback from the community, you'll shift focus a bit more?
Well, there's definitely a lot to digest with what you just said, and we do have a lot of plans moving forward. I did download Warcraft Rumble, and I thought it was fun, but
For about a week.
I don't like how I have so much to do, right? Like the screen keeps scrolling up, and I'm like doing all these different things. When I play WAGMI with the community on our live streams, it's a 3-minute match, right? You're placing your units on the map. Our gameplay is different because you have to really strategize like when and where you place those units, because some have more HP, some have more defense, some have more attack, some are range, some are melee. Well, how am I going to get my massive human emperor who walks extremely slow, does a lot of damage, but isn't that much of a tank across the map to blow up a tower, right? Well, I got to place my scrappers in front, and then I got to try to buff, and protect those scrappers with a spell to make sure they make it across. You know what I mean? So it's a different type of strategy game that does get fiercely competitive. And you can see from the previous streams that we've done that people get really into it. And there's not just one strategy that rules them all, right? I hate games where they're like, this is the meta, just use these characters. And I talk about this often too, Janky. It's like when I play Call of Duty, I could really give a shit less which gun I'm using as long as it shoots straight and it kills the fastest. Like I don't care. Right? You can put a gold skin on any gun. Who cares? Right? And maybe change the scope. But at the end of the day, I'm not attached to that specific weapon. But in our game, especially with lore and well thought out characters and a developing story, like I want you, Jinky, to be like, wow, Leviathan is my favorite human general. I want him on my team no matter what. When a new outfit comes out for Leviathan, I want to make sure I get it. Right? I want to make sure if I'm going to spend anybody in this game, it's on this character because he's a badass. Similar to me when I play Dokkan Battle on my phone, Dragon Ball Z game. Whenever a new Broly banner comes out or a Broly unit comes out, like I summon until I get it completely maxed because it's my favorite character, right? Or even the things I buy here. You can actually see Broly there, kind of. Why do you collect things? Well, you collect things because you're attached to the characters, you're attached to the story. And so for us, a big part of what we're doing is getting people attached to the story and the characters, which is going to impact how you pick your strategy when playing the game and how you build your teams. Now, to keep things spicy and more interesting, I don't know if you saw this announcement. It was like 2 months ago. We actually onboarded El Del Castillo as an advisor for us. Yes. So for those of you who don't know Ed, you can look him up. He's one of the original founders and CEOs of Liquid Entertainment. And he was one of the visionaries behind Command and Conquer. And Command and Conquer is a game where like you do a lot of time setting up your base and planning your strategy. And then, you just kind of see what happens, right? But all of the characters in the buildings, like there's many layers to them to ensure you're using them correctly. So when we started chatting with him, he loved the game, loved the gameplay. And again, guys, we're in beta, right? Like we're evolving the game and the gameplay, right? To be more than just like throw units on a map, right? But this is where every game starts. And so immediately he's like, I love the game, the gameplay, it's fun, people are having fun. How do we make it more interesting, instead of just throwing characters on the board? And so it's kind of like that line from Shrek when Shrek's like saying he's an onion. And Donkey's like, what? Because you smell bad? He's like, no, because I have layers. It's layers to me. So in a game like ours, without making it more complicated, you give more layers to the characters, right? So like maybe you tap a character and it goes from mid-range to melee when you place it on the board. Or, maybe some characters are used specifically just to block because you have other characters on your team that are long range and they can shoot from behind and take out units. We're going to be implementing type advantage over the course of the next few weeks. So you'll have type advantage units where this unit, is really good against that one, but terrible against this one. Some of the units will only attack towers. Some of the units will only attack air, right? These are the types of elements that you can add to the current gameplay that isn't going to change things to the point to where you get lost, but it's going to add a dynamic to make things a bit more competitive. Now, you're a seasoned gamer, Jinky. Like you play a lot of games, a lot of RPGs, a lot of League, right? You play a lot of these games. And so for you, grinding a mobile game probably isn't the most fun, right? Because you've been your audio's out.
Oh, I actually really do enjoy mobile games. It's just a matter of whether or not I'm at a computer or I'm sitting on the couch, right? Because
Yeah.
if I have to get on my computer to play a mobile game, well, at that point, I'm going to play a PC game. But if I'm chilling in the car, or I'm sitting on the couch, or chilling here in the office and the internet goes out, like I'm pulling out my phone and I've got like Mirror 4. I wish I had WAGMI, but I'm an Apple user.
You will
But
soon.
I literally have a folder that literally just called chain games, and it's like a whole bunch of Web3 games that I'll just sit here and grind just because what else am I going to do, right? But
So
it's not to say that they're boring and I don't go out of my way to play them. There are times where I'm like, you know what? I've been on my computer long enough. I'm going to go play something while I sit on the couch, and I will
yeah,
actually pull myself away from the computer to enjoy a mobile game.
and
But
pretty soon that's going to be WAGMI.
yeah.
Because what needs to be added to the game and is on the roadmap is to start incorporating the live op events, the daily login events, the daily challenge events, right? Things like that. So in order to enhance gameplay without making the core gameplay more complicated, you have campaign mode, right? You have PvP challenge, clan battles, things like that. So we are able to take a lot of these elements that you've seen in similar game types and bring them in and put our own spin on them. Another thing that's going to be coming relatively soon is fusion, where you're going to be able to take a human NFT and an alien NFT and then merge them together or sacrifice them for their DNA and create a Nephilim character. And those characters are characters that we're never going to sell. They can only be acquired by the users from sacrificing alien and human characters to create them. And they're wild cards. They can be used on either team, on alien or human, or you can make a whole team of Nephilim if you want to. And all of these things, all of these Web3 things are happening in game, just like any other function on any other game you play on your phone. So you don't know that you're minting, you don't know that you're burning or that you're, creating something new. You just think, oh, I have this character and I have that character, and now I'm going to level it up, I'm going to merge it, or I'm going to scrap it. You don't have to really know Web3 terminology, which is the only way to move forward in Web3 gaming. Like, you need to have a game that functions just like a regular fun game. And if they want to participate in the secondary market later, they can. But at most, a game should be able to survive on its own, just on core gameplay.
I don't necessarily disagree with that. However, there is some curiosity. You mentioned the immutable passport, L2, and all that stuff. How exactly does that all work? Like, let's say I want to take my NFTs that I've purchased through my phone, because you said that you can mint through your phone, and I've seen one game do this. But they have their own like dedicated system and stuff like that. Mythical, I'm sure you're experienced with their marketplace. Like, they have something that most people aren't doing. But if I wanted to take the NFTs that I minted from my phone and put them in my MetaMask wallet, what does that look like? Like, what do I have to go to a WAGMI dashboard? Is that something I can also do from in the game? What does that look like?
Yeah, so any marketplace that supports Passport. So when you log into WAGMI, you log in with your email, and then that email is now associated with your Passport wallet. So you go to tokentrove.com, which is listed on Immutable. You log in with your email, and like 5 seconds later, you're in and you see all your characters. And from there, you can sell, you can trade, and you can buy.
Okay, so it is through a third party or a website. So that's
But
not
eventually it's going to be
bad.
built in the app. It's just, remember, all this technology, guys, Jinky, it's
Mhm.
new. We're the
Oh, yeah.
first mobile game to implement Passport. And even that took about 3 weeks longer than it should have, because we got the code, we implement the code. Okay, here's a list of things that aren't working, right? Like, that's just a part of the process, which is exciting because that just tells you how early we are to all of this.
And so because you mentioned being able to burn the aliens and the humans and combine them to Nephilim, but your mint is already done. So are those like unlimited, the aliens and humans? Can you just constantly mint them through in-app purchases, or?
Oh, you mean the Founders Pack is done, right? Is that what you're talking about?
Yeah, I wasn't sure how you guys were handling.
Yeah.
Like, are the rest of the cards just done through iOS and Android, or?
So let me explain a little bit. The goal with WAGMI, right? We're not pay for power.
Mhm.
We're not pay to play. We're free to play. And we have seasons in the game. So like right now we're in preseason and we just ended closed beta. Now, no matter what season you're in, or if you have Founders Edition cards, it's all the same characters,
Mhm.
right? So you have Founders Edition Leviathan, you have Beta Leviathan, preseason Leviathan. If you have a level 10 Founders Leviathan and I have a level 10 Beta Leviathan, it's the same stats, right? It's just different variants of the character for collectability, seasonality, because there's another part of the equation that you have to take into consideration when you're playing, and you'll see this a lot. In fact, I did some posts, you might have seen them. I did a video last week showing all of the legendary beta cards that all of a sudden people were going crazy for once beta closed. And they were selling, like a single CAD was selling for like a Human Emperor $4,500, Alien Emperor $3,200.
God dang.
And you're like, why are people buying these legendary units if they can get another legendary in the preseason for the same character? Well, it's because for the same reason why everybody wants Charizard, like the original Pokemon card, right? It's that variant is worth the most because it's the most rare. You can't get it anymore. So we're adding fun collectability with each season, so that as players are grinding and they're winning battles and they're opening their loot crates, you're getting these cards for free. You're getting all these commons. And then in the game, we have a system where you can upgrade the rarity of the card. So from common to rare, rare to epic, and then epic to legendary. And the way it works in the game, it just works as a fun function. Like, you don't know that you're burning 5 commons to make 1 rare. You just think that you're, sacrificing these 5 cards to upgrade it. Like, that's all it looks like in game. But what's happening on the back end is you're burning 5 NFTs to create 1 rare NFT. So if you think about this with your Web3 cap on, what's happening now is for all the beta cards, because they're listed on Token Trove, you'll find commons, rares, epics, and legendaries for all the characters. People are buying up all the commons and rares and epics to try to make legendaries.
Yep.
Right? And once they're gone, because you can't take a preseason variant and level it up, with beta cards. Now, that doesn't mean in the future we're sci-fi. We can do whatever we want. We can be like, limited event, a time portal has opened up and you can take your beta cards and use them to level up your like, why wouldn't we do stuff like that? It's fun.
That was actually my first thought, was like some sort of time warp thing. Boom, nailed it.
Yeah. Like, we don't control the secondary market. We care obviously that, people are buying, selling, and trading, but like, we don't care what those prices are. Like, yeah, we get our cut, and a royalty from it, but like, the secondary market is the easiest way for us to show as a brand that our game is successful. All that volume that's being traded on a Mutascan is showing the world, hey, people are having fun playing WAGMI, getting these cards, buying and selling and trading.
What feels like forever, trying to save what's left of my future. I've been fighting to save my whole existence, and that's how I know that we're all gonna make it. We're all gonna make it.
And what marketplace did you say that this is supported on?
Token Trove.
Token Trove. Okay.
And if you go to Rarible, you can go to your wallet there too and see all your cards. But Token Trove so far is the best.
Yeah, when it comes to immutable, like it has been the most difficult system for me to figure out, especially from a buying, selling, and trading standpoint. I'm not gonna lie to you. I hate immutable. I hate anything on immutable, and I hate every marketplace surrounding immutable. They need to simplify things.
Well, that's what the passport is for, to simplify it. So you're going to see a lot of these features now being activated, like, being able just to send ETH from your wallet to your immutable wallet and then use it in every game and buy stuff. Again, we're in the beginning of all of this, right? But immutable's made a lot of progress. The passport was a huge win. It's been a huge win for us. So it just takes time, Jinky. It takes time.
Oh, for sure. It's just everybody praises immutable and talks about all these cool things that they're doing, and I want to see it. I want to see it because right now I'm not seeing it.
Well, because you haven't been playing WAGMI.
No, but I have been involved with other immutable games, like
WAGMI's the best. That's why you gotta come here.
The biggest thing is, like, for example, I'm on Token Trove right now, and there's no send option. Oh, wait, no, I think I may have found it.
You click on the card, click transfer.
Yep, that's what it is. It's transfer. So this is the first time I've used Token Trove, so I'm learning. But on Rarible, I could not find a send option at all. And somebody was like, "Oh, you have to go to a different market." And I'm like, "Well, why do I need multiple marketplaces to manage one asset? This is ridiculous."
Well, because on Rarible, first you have to connect your wallet to L2.
I did.
And then,
I did all that.
Then you click a single NFT, and you can hit transfer, and then send it to a wallet.
That must be new, because I asked an IMX Maxi before, and they were like, "Oh, you have to use a different platform. You can't use Rarible." And I was like, "Why? Why?"
No, you can't.
Like, I go to OpenSea. That, like, as much as we all hate OpenSea, I love them from the usability factor, because I just go, I click what I need, and I'm done. Like, I'm not having to hunt for options. I'm not having to do those L2 connections like you were talking about. But then I jump on IMX, and it's like foreign to me. And this is coming from somebody who was able to figure out Wax. If I can figure out Wax, I felt like I should have been able to figure out IMX, like, because Wax is bad too, but for different reasons.
I don't have any Wax experience. But so one other thing I wanted to tell you, Jinky, because I know you're probably thinking about it. So, like, there is a power scaling from common to legendary, but it's only like 5%. So, like, as you go from common to rare, rare to epic, epic to legendary, there's little boosts in power.
But there's nothing new with that.
Yeah,
that's the thing.
But the point is, for people who maybe aren't familiar with a system like that, it's not enough to make you just like stomp everybody if you have legendary cards, right? It's only 5%. If you had 100 health, you have 105. Like, it's barely an extra hit from another character. But as a gamer, it's like, well, I want the strongest characters, so I'm going to grind and get legendaries or trade. What I really want to see, Jinky, is a lot of trading happening. Like, the buys and sells are great. Like, I would love for me and you to be like, "Oh, you have this, what I need, and you have what I need. Let's just trade." And instantly it's in your game, it's in my game, right? Like, that's what I'm most excited about. I want to see clans working together to strengthen their weaker clan members that can't grind. Maybe they're good at the game, but they don't have time to grind and level up all their characters, right?
Yeah.
You're getting ready for a clan battle. It's like, oh, it's a big clan battle tournament. Jinky's box is great, but Scott sucks. If he just had a human emperor, maybe he could actually do some work, and you happen to have an extra one. And then when the clan battle's over, maybe you just send it back to me, or hopefully by then there's a rental system in place. Maybe grinders are renting out decks, right, to play the game. Like, there's all these different things that you can do just by adding asset ownership, to the gameplay.
Well, I'm just saying, if you're talking rentals, I know some people.
Yeah.
I don't know if they support IMX yet, but I'm just saying, maybe you start the talks.
Yeah. Well, I also want to let you know, there are some other fun things we're doing. So, like, the seasonal cards in game, for the most part right now, it's going to be the same animations, like attacks and drop in. But, like, the founders cards will have, a very unique animation and attack. The comic edition cards will have a unique, in-game animation. So it's not just like a different NFT art, right? I want the game to start because you can see what your opponent has for cards before you start. I want you to see we have maybe the same exact deck. We're using the same characters. And then all of a sudden I drop my Archon on the board and he's doing like a spin move and yours is just doing a slash. And you're like, what the hell? How do I get the spin move? Well, it's the comic variant of Archon that does the spin move. But those are the types of little things that you can do that makes the game more fun without making it more complicated, as what I was saying earlier. Like, if every variant of Archon did something different, you're like, good luck balancing all of that, right? I mean,
True.
granted, I'm sure in the future we'll have different variants of the characters, but if we want to have fun with like NFT drops or collections or live up events, like, hey, we're doing a live up event for the next 2 weeks. If you complete XYZ battles, you get this special variant, for free of this character, and they have a different animation. But it's the same character. So it allows us to create collectibles and do fun things that you've been used to doing in games, right? Like when I would play RuneScape, every holiday, there was, emotes you could get and
True.
armor you could get. And, like everybody wants the Santa Claus hat. I have one, right? So it doesn't add anything. It doesn't make me a better player. In fact,
Yep.
it probably made my armor weaker because I didn't have a helmet on. I had a friggin' Santa Claus. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But, you're still going to rock it because it's cool. It's just...
We just went through the same thing in World of Warcraft. They had a big holiday event. You got to go up under the tree on Christmas Day, open your presents, and the entire season I was just rocking a freaking Santa hat. I mean, with a Christmas sweater. It was freaking funny. Like,
imagine they
gamers
just
love
gave
that
everybody
kind of stuff.
Imagine they just gave every single person coal. Like, that would have been the funny. Just
Steam or Valve actually did something like that. I don't know if you saw it, but they gave all the Dota 2 players Christmas presents, and depending on your account status and whether or not you've been a bad person or not, you would either get like a skin or a character. You get something good, but the people
the PK killers.
I'm laughing because there's a specific case I'm thinking of. There was a streamer who is known for being very toxic within the community, and he got a lump of coal. But here's the funny part. That lump of coal was called Toxic Lump of Coal, and it came with a permanent ban attached to it. So he ended up getting his account banned after getting his coal. That was funny to me. That is the funniest way to take down toxic players, in my opinion. Because he was streaming it live. He was like, oh, dude, I got a present from Valve, and everybody's telling him to open it in his chat and stuff like that. So he goes ahead and opens it, gets the coal, and then immediately gets the ban notice. And,
oh my gosh.
And everybody was dying. And somebody was like, well, what if he just never opened the box? And it got my brain turning. What if he never did?
That's what I was thinking. What if he never opened the box?
Yeah, like would he still have been banned?
Man, greed will win every time. Like, I gotta see what's in here. And if it was a Web3 game, he could just transfer all of his assets out of that account first. But
see, that's something I would like to pick your brain about, because obviously balancing is something that you guys are going to have to undergo. What would you do in a case that you found a player either exploited, hacked, or somehow was able to inject a method that allowed them to boost their NFT to max level for free, and you found that player and you banned them? You wouldn't want that asset in your economy anymore, right? Because it wasn't legitimately leveled. What's stopping them from keeping that in circulation and exploiting the economy?
Well, at the end of the day, we'll just use the word cheated, right? It's the easiest word. If you cheated a card to level 10 and I grinded to level, it's still a level 10 card. It's not like it's different than a normal level 10. It's just you were able to exploit the game economy to get it there faster, right? So this is what we're weighing against each other. In my eyes, it's still the same unit, right? And also, I would rather... So like right now in the beta, we've had some people kind of take advantage of the system where, they were making multiple accounts to get their... Because when you first start playing the game, you get 6 NFTs to start, either aliens or humans, right? So some of the guys were making multiple accounts and then sending themselves those NFTs to try to like level up faster and things like that. But we've been able to rectify that situation. But at the same time, we're happy that they're doing that in the beta, because if they did it when we were globally launched, we'd probably have a much larger problem on our hands. Like I had a couple
So
community members.
it's a little
What?
different. You're right. It is a little different in testing, and I understand it's a lot easier to like resolve in a testing environment. But I'm thinking from a live standpoint. If one card gets leveled to max level, yeah, I agree with you. It's the equivalent of every other max level card. But since you're just banning the account and it's a free game, what's stopping them from going and starting a new account, new wallet, and then literally your entire collection is max level? Doesn't that cause problems?
Well, it depends on how the battles are balanced, right? So, for example, we've actually been talking through this over the last couple of weeks to go with our next in-game update. So, remember when we would do our battles on the beta when it was just a handful of us? Like we would just hit like the same map at the same time, then we would
Yeah.
battle each other. Well, now that we have a larger player base and we have AI, so like if you don't find a match in 10 seconds, it searches for an AI. So you always have a battle right away, which is great. But what started happening now with the player base is getting bigger is that you would be like, oh, it's my first game. And then you would get somebody with like 3,000 medals and they just whoop your ass. So we implemented, a new strategy where, you're only going to battle AI until you hit 300 and then 300 to 1,000 medals. You're fighting other people within that same range. It's tough right now because when you're in beta and you don't have the massive player base, you don't want to segment how matches are finding like other players too much because then you'll wait forever to find a real person. You'll just get AI all the time. But at the same time, if you just started playing WAGMI today and you just finished the tutorial and then you went to the marketplace and bought all level 10 legendaries and put them in your box, you're not going to be able to use them because you're going to have to attach the level of the card and have that balanced with how many medals you have and what rank your profile is. So there's ways to get around, a player abusing the system and then battling other players. But as far as abusing the system and then leveling up cards fast, that's something that we would probably have to take on a case-by-case basis, right? And figure out a way to fix it. And there's always a way to make adjustments and there's always a way to fix it, right?
Yeah.
But
I was just curious because we've seen a lot of discussions and people are in Web3 are like, oh, well, Web3, they can't change my card. They can't change my asset. They can't ban me, yada, yada, yada. And it's like, that's not healthy for gaming, like even outside of Web3. So
you can update the metadata. So like,
oh, but that's against the Web3 ethos. You can't be changing the stuff people bought. Remember?
Well, I guess in beta, you can't. Like in beta, we can update as much as we want. But once we go global, we better have, all of our T's crossed and our I's dotted. Yeah.
Because we've seen it. We've seen now how much of it was legitimate outrage, I don't know. But I saw when Parallels started balancing their cards and then all of a sudden, like the overpowered decks were not overpowered. People were upset because, oh, I bought this and you changed it and yada, yada. And this would never happen with Magic the Gathering. And it's like, yeah, it does. For those that aren't aware, Magic the Gathering actually bans cards. If you compete in a professional tournament, you are limited on what you can and can't use based on the current season.
Well, but
like,
Parallels
they change
is
things all the
also
time.
not. Is Parallels globally launched? I don't think so, right? They're still in their quote unquote beta or preseason, right?
So but it is public beta though. So it is technically globally launched, but it's not released as a version 1.0 product. Does that make sense?
Okay. Yeah. Well, like even Big Time is in preseason and they're constantly changing like what you need to craft certain things.
Yep. I've
right?
seen that.
And it got really expensive really
Very
fast.
quickly.
Dude.
Yeah.
I wish I could go back in time where I'm like, oh yeah, I'll just craft some hourglasses for like 10 crystals. Now it's like 250 crystals. And now like, I wish I was using my forges in my anvils more to refine all the metal and all the brushed lattice, right? Because now that costs like 90 Big Time token just to do 75 of them. It's like, geez, man, I'm basically spending almost $70 to refine this material, and it's probably gonna take me, 150 of this material plus other stuff to make a base weapon. It's like this base weapon is costing me like $300.
But that's kind of my point is gaming. I know that, a lot of people are live or die by the Web3 ethos, but in gaming, it can't necessarily apply. You have to have the ability to adjust things to balance the game properly. And you have to be able to get rid of bad actors or malicious assets that have been exploited into the economy. So anybody who thinks that your NFT isn't going to get adjusted so that the game can be balanced properly, you might want to wake up and smell the flowers, because you need to land in the world of reality. I'm just saying.
Oh, 100%.
So are there, so I know that there's not like a lot to the game right now, but do you guys have any like Easter eggs or anything hidden maybe throughout the maps?
Not yet. So the new user interface is coming in February, like I said. We're redesigning all the maps. Like everything that's in the game right now is stuff that you've seen for like the last year. We recently hired Roommate Studios to re-rig all the new characters, all the new maps, the new user interface, all that stuff. There will be some Easter eggs. In fact, when we had our meeting for the comic books with Todd and his team, that's one of the things I brought up. I was like, listen, I want to make sure we get Easter eggs inside of here. And he's like, don't worry, that's part of the process. We'll figure that out. But yeah, inside the game, eventually, I would like to see some Easter eggs. I would also like to, I have some ideas for some other games I've spoken to for collaborations, right? To start to have a little bit of interoperability, some Web3 games and some Web2 actually as well. So can't speak too much on that just now, but as we move and push out more updates to the game and we can start to bring other assets in, it's something that we definitely want to do. I'm a big proponent of communities. Like communities in gaming is everything. Like I don't play just one game. I play loads of games. I would be so happy to play a game with you, Jinky, and then all of a sudden we're playing another game too. So for example, all the big time groups that I'm in on Discord, a lot of those guys over the last couple weeks are now playing WAGMI Defense. And a lot of them have Android, so they can play on their phone. But
it works backwards too, because I remember there was one time me and you played together. We jumped off and we went and played big time.
Yeah, exactly.
Works both ways.
And then we'll be running a dungeon on big time, talking strategy for WAGMI. Like, you know what I mean? It's like gamers play games, and hopefully in the future, maybe I can get one of our characters in big time as a skin, right? That you can collect the helmet, chest, legs, and arms for.
That'd be kind of neat.
It would be great, right? These are the kinds of things that are exciting and fun. And, if you really understand what gamers like, because you are one, you understand the importance of that. Like a good example of understanding gamers, you probably saw that kid, Blue Scooty, beat Tetris, right?
Oh, yeah.
And then there was an article, I tweeted about it. This woman from like Sky News, she's like, if I was your mom, I'd tell you go outside or whatever. And I'm like,
touch grass.
Yeah, like it's like, bro, you're entitled to your opinion, but like you clearly don't understand what it takes to do what this 13-year-old boy did. And what made it even more shitty is the kid's dad literally died a week before he got that title, and he dedicated the title to his father, which I thought was amazing. But like I watched that video, it was an hour long of him playing the game. My eyes are going cross-eyed at one point because I know how much talent it takes to do that.
I want to ask that woman. I would love to meet that woman in person and ask her, what world records have you broken?
Yeah, what hobbies do you have outside of, I don't know, sitting down and telling the news? Like,
look, I'm not gonna go that far because I'm sure she has.
Well, because then she praised the dart tournament. Like
I saw that. Yeah, that's true.
The dart tournament. Hey, in darts, I guess you're going like this, right? Come on. I mean, that kid's a lot skinnier than most dudes that see playing darts. Let me just put it that way. So
that was my thought, but you spoke it into existence. So
do you know what they do? Do you know what it's called? Rolling. Do you know what rolling is when they play Tetris? So they hold the controller, instead of tapping the D-pad, they push down on the D-pad and then they roll their fingers underneath it, right? So they're doing this and they're rolling and tapping because the controller can pick up on 4 taps much faster from you just doing this versus 1, 2, 3, 4 like that. Does that make sense to you? I've learned a lot of stuff watching these Tetris videos.
I feel that.
Dude, I mean, that game, maybe not the most exciting to play in your own, right? When you watch the tournaments, shit gets intense. The
Dude, play
announcers are
Tetris
there.
99. Play Tetris 99. You say it's boring to play by yourself? Okay, play Tetris 99. It's basically Tetris
No, I'm saying
Battle
I don't think
Royale.
it's boring. I enjoy it. I'm just saying some people like, oh yeah, it's a great game, but it's old. I'm like, yeah, you don't. I guess you never really got that far,
Yeah.
or you don't have that urge to just win and beat your score, right?
Well,
The kid was saying like one of the levels, I think it's called charcoal, where the Tetris blocks are like really dark, and he's like, my TV can't even register the colors. I don't even know what the hell I'm looking at. I was like,
wow.
it registered something, that's for sure.
So before we wrap things up, did you have any final thoughts that you wanted to cover regarding WAGMI or any events that you might want to discuss that are coming up? I know you guys got the streams like every Wednesday and Friday.
Yeah, so definitely, follow us on Twitter. Our official Twitter page is WAGMI Game Co. We have a link tree there to all of our, our groups, our Telegram, our Discord. My Twitter, Scott, _ Herman. Make sure you guys go there. Visit Kick. If you go to kick.com and type in WAGMI, our custom category pops up. So you can see all of the clips there from previous streams. And then I stream every Thursday at like 7:30 p.m. Slayer streams at 2 on Fridays. Richie streams at 2 on Tuesdays. And we get a couple other guys going to be streaming there as well. But yeah, the biggest thing right now that I would love people to focus on is, number one, if you want to play the beta, reach out to me. My DMs are open. Well, let's get you on and have some fun. We're free to play. The community is great. Number two, we're getting really close to releasing the comic edition variants of the cards, which you can only get if you have the Nephi Wars comic. So if you go to OpenSea, you type in Nephi Wars, NIFE, that's the comic collection. If you own a comic, every month you're going to get a comic exclusive loot crate that's going to contain 5 cards.
So just to make sure we clarify, you're talking about a comic NFT, correct?
Yes. So you can actually go there right now and
I was going to say, because I've still got my comics from ETH Denver, but they're physical comics. I don't have
those are
NFTs.
physical.
I was like, how are they airdropping this? Do I need to scan a QR code or something on the comic?
You just send a photo of the comic book. Yeah. So anybody can go to OpenSea and read the story. Like, the comic is free to read, but if you own one, that's how you get the drop, right? Which is cool because we're never going to sell these cards. This is going to be, if the collection is successful, it's because the economy is going crazy. If nobody cares, then they won't do well, right? So it'll come. I mean, I'm sure it'll do well because these cards look really cool and they're going to be exclusive and everyone's going to have them, right? Yeah. So definitely pay attention to those things. We should be hitting iPhone hopefully within the next month, like 4 to 6 weeks, hopefully, as long as everything goes the right way. But yeah, Jinky, I mean, it's just literally my main focus is onboarding more players, onboarding more creators, doing more live streams, and showing people that people actually play the game. And they're not just being paid to play for like a week before an announcement, and then you see no footage for 3 months. Okay. And I know you're gonna like that because that's what you talk about. Because it's true. It's true. And listen, we take care of our creators as best as we can, but at the end of the day, if you wanted to be a Web 2 content creator right now and play these games, you got to put the work in and you got to hustle. Like, Call of Duty's not going to reach out and give you $2,000 because you made a video, right? Like, it's just not how it works. It takes time to build a business. And the people that are putting the effort in, and we see them, I reach out. Hey, let me hook you up with a founder's pack. Like, thank you so much for making this contact. Or hey, let me give you some cards you need so you can make a full team on the game if you haven't collected these characters yet. Like, there's a lot of outreach. And I pay attention to people who really, truly love the game. Because at the end of the day, Jinky, like, I want people making WAGMI content that are really involved in the DNA of the game. Like, understand what each character does, which characters are the best, you know, what kind of teams they're seeing, what strategies they're seeing. And these are things that you just can't like pick up in one day. Like you have to pick these things up as you play and as you get to know the game and as you start to play through, you know, even the user interface, right? If you ask any of our streamers, hey, how do I level up my cards? They can tell you how to do it in 2 seconds because they do it all the time.
Yeah. Well, if that's all you've got, we can wrap it up. So keep an eye out next month. Hopefully.
I'm not allowed to say dates. I'll get yelled at by cautious.
I don't like dates anyway because dates are just setting myself up for disappointment. Even Web2
Hey, are
does
you
that.
going to East Denver again?
Maybe.
I'm pretty sure we'll be there. I'm like 99% sure we'll be there.
I may or may not be. I haven't decided yet. But
Jinky likes to play hard to get.
well, it's more or less I hate driving up there. But I'm too poor to buy a hotel for the weekend, so I got to pick my battles. Oh. That's actually what happened last East Denver. I don't know if you noticed. I showed up the first and the last day, and then like the day in between, I was like, I'm not driving all the way up there. Oh man. But that's gonna be it for us for now, guys. Sorry we didn't get any gameplay in today. Discussion went a little bit further than I was kind of expecting, but you will see gameplay on his channel, Slayer's channel, and you said there was one more.
Richie Riz, Tuesdays at 2 p.m.
There you go.
Eastern.
So make sure you guys check them out. If you haven't seen, I think I posted some videos way back when too, but that might not even be valid anymore. So definitely check out their streams. They're streaming every week and showcasing the game. We'll have a little bit of gameplay at the beginning as well if you missed it. So thank you guys. That's going to be a wrap for us. This is another great episode of the Block Sauce, but we're now going to close it down. Before we say farewell, though, I just want to give a huge shout out and thank you to Scott for taking their time to join us today. So thank you, Scott. Appreciate it.
Yeah, thanks for having me, man.
And we may have to revisit this down the road once you guys have gotten some more stuff thrown in the game. I'm just saying.
Oh, hell yeah, we will.
But we also couldn't do it without all of our amazing viewers and supporters. Your engagement and passion fuel our drive to bring you the hottest topics and thought-provoking conversations week after week. Remember that the sauce never stops flowing. Follow us on social media. We have our own website, YouTube, and Twitter. It's at the Block Sauce. So make sure you guys follow us. Remember, your voice matters. You can drop topics or suggestions that you may want us to try and tackle. But that's going to be it for us today, folks. Thanks for joining us. And see you next time for another thrilling episode of the Block Sauce, where we'll keep the gaming flame alive and the discussion sizzling. Stay saucy and keep gaming in the exciting realm of Web3. Thank you guys and have a good one.
See you guys.